He's winning on the outside, but dying inside. Everyone thinks he's strong, but he's losing the most important battle, the one against himself. This isn't about external enemies. This isn't about challenges he can solve or problems he can fix. This is about the war between who he is and who he thinks he should be, between what he wants and what he's been taught to want. And the cruelest part? He can't tell anyone, because admitting you're at war with yourself sounds like weakness. So he keeps fighting in silence, and the war gets worse. This channel is for the man who stayed strong when no one noticed, the man who carried responsibility quietly and slowly disappeared. Here, strength is questioned, silence is exposed, and the cost of being the strong one is finally spoken out loud. Let me show you what this war really costs. There's a man I know. He wakes up at 5:30 every morning, not because he wants to, but because that's what disciplined men do. He goes to the gym, not because he enjoys it, but because his body is supposed to look a certain way. He gets to work early, stays late, delivers beyond expectations, not because the work fulfills him, but because success is what he's supposed to achieve. He comes home to a life that looks perfect from the outside. The house, the family, the stability, everything he was told would make him happy, and he performs gratitude for it. But inside, there's this constant noise, a voice that says, "This isn't right, this isn't you, this isn't what you actually want." And another voice that immediately argues back, "What you want doesn't matter, this is what you're supposed to do. Stop being selfish." And those two voices, they're at war, every single day. But here's the part no one tells you. At work, he's excellent. Everyone says so. But he feels nothing when he achieves something. No satisfaction, no pride, just relief that he met the expectation. And then immediately, the next expectation appears.
He's been promoted 3 times. Each time he thought, maybe this will be it. Maybe this level of success will make it feel worth it. But it never does. The emptiness just gets bigger. The war just gets louder. At home, he's present, but not really there. He's performing the role of partner, parent, provider, and he's good at the performance. But it's exhausting, because he can't remember the last time he did something just because he wanted to. Everything is should. I should work out, I should be productive, I should be grateful, I should be happy. But he's none of those things. He's just tired. And at night, when everyone's asleep and he's finally alone, the war is loudest. That's when the voice asking, "Is this all there is?" gets so loud he can't ignore it. That's when he realizes he's built a life that looks right, but feels completely wrong. You know this man, don't you? Maybe you are this man. Maybe you wake up every day and perform a version of yourself that everyone else accepts, but you don't recognize. Maybe you've achieved everything you were supposed to achieve, and you still feel empty. Maybe you're doing everything right, and it still feels completely wrong. Maybe you're at war with yourself, and maybe you're losing. This is where most men break. Here's what that war actually is. It's the conflict between your authentic self and your conditioned self, between who you actually are and who you've been taught you should be. Your authentic self knows what you actually want, what brings you joy, what feels meaningful, what makes you feel alive. But your conditioned self has been trained for decades to ignore that, to prioritize what's responsible, what's acceptable, what others expect. And those two selves, they want completely different things. One wants freedom, the other wants security. One wants authenticity, the other wants approval. One wants to live, the other wants to survive. And you're trying to satisfy both. But you can't. Because every choice you make for one is a betrayal of the other. So you're at war, and the battlefield is your own mind. Here's why you're losing. Because you're not trying to win. You're trying to make peace between two incompatible versions of yourself. You're trying to find a compromise where you can be authentic and approved, free and secure, yourself and what everyone expects. But that compromise doesn't exist. You can't be both. One has to win. And right now, the conditioned self is winning, and it's killing you. You see it in your body, the tension that never releases, the exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix, the numbness that's replaced what used to be joy. Your body is trying to tell you that this war is unsustainable. You see it in your relationships. You're there, but not present. You're performing connection, but not feeling it. Because you can't be intimate with others when you're at war with yourself. You see it in your work. You're successful, but unfulfilled. You're achieving, but not satisfied. You're climbing, but you don't know why or where you're going. And you see it in the mirror. You look at yourself and you don't recognize who's looking back. Because you've been performing for so long that you forgot who you actually are underneath the performance. And here's what this war costs you. It costs you your presence, because you're always fighting. It costs you your peace, because there's no neutral ground. It costs you your joy, because you can't feel anything through the armor you've built. It costs you yourself, because you've been suppressing your authentic self for so long that you don't know if it even exists anymore. And the cruelest part is, you think this is normal. You think everyone feels this way. You think this is just what being an adult is. But it's not. It's just what happens when you've been at war with yourself for so long that you forgot there's another option. Here's the truth you don't want to hear.
You can't win this war by fighting harder. You can't make peace by suppressing one side. You can't resolve the conflict by pretending it doesn't exist. You can only end the war by choosing, by deciding which self you're going to listen to, the authentic one or the conditioned one, the one that wants to live or the one that wants to be approved of. And that choice is terrifying, because choosing your authentic self means disappointing people. It means changing things. It means admitting that the life you've built might not be the life you actually want. But choosing the conditioned self means continuing the war. It means more years of performing, more exhaustion, more numbness, more looking in the mirror and not recognizing yourself. Either way, you lose something, but only one way do you lose yourself. The hero's journey isn't about winning external battles. It's about ending the internal war. It's about choosing to be one integrated self instead of two conflicting selves fighting for control. And that integration doesn't come from compromise. It comes from courage. The courage to admit what you actually want. The courage to stop performing who you should be. The courage to let the authentic self finally speak after years of being suppressed. You've been fighting both sides of this war. That's why you're tired. That's why you're lost. It's time to choose who you want to be, because the only way to win is to stop fighting. If this described a war you've been fighting in silence, leave a comment with just 2 words.